Alright, well, I'm sure some of you read last night, CFTC, the regulatory agency that's been dragging its feet for like, oh, I don't know, 6 months now, on defining the word swaps so that they can implement the first part of the position limits rules regarding commodities such as silver and gold. And those of you who are new to what I'm talking about, I'll quickly go over what that means. JP Morgan has always had, or at least for several years now, the largest position, paper position in the commodities market in silver. And it's always been a short position, completely short position. And the latest information is that they have probably a 25% share of the whole entire market of regarding silver. So if you have one entity, one person, one company, one whatever, with 25%, 1/4 of a market, don't you think, it's not even a matter of don't you think, don't you know that they can move the market any way they want? If they want the market to rise, they don't put any of their contracts out for sale. They just hold on to them. Market's gonna rise. And then when it rises to a point that they feel is necessary to smash it, they start flooding the market with tons and tons of their paper. Again, short positions, they're gonna flood the market with their paper, causing a stampede to the downside. No one's gonna stay in there because there's not enough people. If JP Morgan with 25% of the shares, or the market in silver, not shares, if they take their position and just start flooding the market, even though you say, well, yeah, but that's only a quarter, there's still 3/4 of the people out there, right? But if you instantly turn on that floodgate and dump a bunch of your contracts, tons of them, and you happen to have 25% of that market, there's not enough buyers who are going to come out of the woodwork all of a sudden and say, oh, hey, there's some silver contracts for sale, I think I'll go buy some. If that was going to happen, JP Morgan wouldn't have to start selling their contracts. There's plenty of other people who have contracts who would start to sell theirs once it went up a little bit so they can make some money. So naturally, they can push the market up or down. They push it up by not selling any of their contracts, and they push it down by selling a bunch of their contracts all at once. Now, CFTC had to do an investigation, was forced into an investigation in 2010 into market manipulation in the silver markets, because whistleblower Andrew McGuire came out twice on specific dates and times and told them in advance they're going to push the market down at this day and at this time, and the second time I want to be on the phone with you about 15 minutes before they do it. Is that okay? Yeah, no problem. So they let him call him back. He says, all right, get ready, another minute, it's going to happen. Boom, right on the time, right on the money, starts to crash the silver market just like he said. So at that point, the CFTC could no longer say, well, hey, we're the regulatory agency, you brought some stuff to our attention, we checked into it, didn't find anything. You're not going to be allowed to look into it. No, you're a bozo, sheep, peasant, taxpayer, consumer. Go back to consuming and tax paying and leave the big boys alone. Nothing you can do about it. Until a whistleblower came out and forced their hand. Now that their hand's been forced, they have no choice. They cannot say, well, there was no manipulation. When someone comes out in advance and tells you this is going to happen on this day and at this specific time, and then it happens, you may say, well, that was just the first time I ever heard of it. Maybe you just got lucky. Okay. Second time, another date, different time, spot on again. At that point, you cannot say we didn't find anything. You can't. So that's what happened. And now that for 2 years now, we've had the CFTC in the middle of an investigation. We're still investigating. Haven't come up with any conclusions yet. Well, you don't have to. We already know who it is. JP Morgan. So they've been buying time with the Frank Dodd Act that was passed, which wasn't exactly a blessing to the financial world as far as the consumers are concerned. The banks probably loved some of those provisions, but there was one thing they didn't like, and that was the position limit rule. But I'm sure they're going to probably work a way around that somehow anyways. But it is definitely a thorn in their side. And there's two parts to the position limit rule. No longer will JP Morgan be allowed to hold on to 25% of any market, much less silver. They're only going to be allowed to hold on to so many contracts, just like everybody else, and it will be nowhere near 25% of the market. So, the first part of the rule, they have to define the word swaps. What does a swap mean? And there's different kinds of swaps, and we have to define them. Allegedly, April 18th, I believe it was the article said the 18th, a few days from now, they're going to define the word swaps, apparently, or they're getting ready to. But once they do that, 60 days after they do that, everyone will have to be in compliance. So the 60 days is like a little bonus for everybody, like the JP Morgans out there, to keep manipulating in the meantime. At the same time, it's just for the first part of the rule. The first part of the rule is that the spot month, you can't have all these contracts. You have to be in compliance. And again, that's 60 days after this happens, after they define the word swaps. It's the spot month, which means today we're in the month of April. April contracts only. Any futures contracts, April, you can't hold, you know, a giant portion, JP Morgan or anybody else. But the non-spot months, you can still hold as many as you want. So that would include next month, the next month after that, the next month after that, the next month after that, September, October, November, December, January, February, March of 2013, etc. All the way out a good decent amount of time. So naturally, again, JP Morgan can go out 6 months out right now, 4 months out, a year out, 3 months out, 2 months out, whatever it is, and still have a huge position and just be in compliance with the spot month position only. So it's a no-brainer that anyone looking for this to fix anything in the spot month, as far as the spot month is concerned, the first rule that comes out, I think they're going to be hard-pressed and saddened for that to happen. The second part of the rule is going to take place sometime in 2013, and I don't know exactly when. and when that rule kicks in, that is all months are included. They must be in compliance. Not just the spot month, but it will be the spot month and all other months, period. At that point, I would think it'd be hard for JP Morgan to manipulate the market. The only way they'd be able to do that is to bring in other boys from the club, banks, and say, well, now that I can't hold 25%, but maybe I can hold 5%. I don't know what the number is, but let's just say it's 5%. Well, we were able to manipulate the market with 25%, so let's see, we need 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. We need 5 participants. JP Morgan, we're one of them. So we need 4 more participants to help us manipulate the silver market. So let's call in Citigroup, HSBC, Deutsche Bank, Goldman Sachs, maybe whoever. And we'll have 5 people total, and we'll still do the same thing. There is potential for that. But then you take a position that was given to one person who's been able to keep their mouth shut the whole time. No, we're not manipulating the market. Us? No, no way, no way. And disperse that out a little bit to other people. So then you have to worry about, are these other 4 people or companies going to keep their mouths shut on the manipulation? So it's better, as everyone knows, the least amount of people who know about something, the less chance there is for them to spill the beans on anything. So at the same time, there's still a backup. There's a plan B if this doesn't go well for them. And the plan B is we have the CME Group, privately owned corporation, for profit, is the overseer of the market, and they can dictate at what point margins need to be increased to maintain your position. And as you saw last year in 2011, after JP Morgan had to back off because they were caught red-handed in 2010 manipulating the market, they couldn't dare manipulate it again and open a blatant, 10-15% move down in a few days. Yeah, I can't do that. So let's have our boys at the CME Group force people out of the market. Well, how'd they force them out of the market? The CME Group said, well, we're raising margin requirements for silver. Tonight is Friday night. The markets are closed. Here's our press release. On Monday, at end of day Monday, everyone has to be in compliance. So if you happen to have a futures contract that you got last 2 weeks ago, a month ago, whatever it is, and hey, silver's up, man, I'm doing pretty good. I made a couple dollars. All right, I'm gonna see if it goes up a little more, and then I'm getting ready to sell probably next week. And then Friday night comes, announcement, you need to be in compliance with new margin increases Monday, by end of day Monday. Well, being a trader and all, that what that means is no one's going to follow that rule because no one wants to come out with thousands of dollars just to maintain their position that they've had this whole time. They're going to sell it. And even if they decide, as I've said this many times, even if they decide, well, I'm going to maintain my position, I'll put $4,000 or $5,000, whatever I need to put back into the account to please the CME Group with their margin requirement, everybody else isn't going to, so they're going to drive the market down, and now you're sitting on this contract in which you just lost on. So you already know automatically I have to sell. I don't have a choice. I have to sell. And not only did the CME Group do this last year, once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times in a span of approximately 8 days. In a span of 8 days, and again, the big hits usually are on Fridays, Friday night after they close. But the CME group, in a span of 8 days, we are raising the margin again, up, we're raising the margin again, up, we're raising the margin again. And guess what they raised it on? Not one other commodity in the world, and there's tons of them that you can trade. They did it to silver only. Why? Because that is the key metal that they want to attack. And when they let it go to $50 and then crash it down to 40 and then crash it down to 33 or 34, whatever it was, and then it started to rise again to 43, up, crash it down to 30s again. When they see that $50 mark, they know we cannot allow this metal to go past that and stay there at all. So it hit 50 and then went back down. Started to make its climb rapidly again, up, CME group, implement those margins again, okay, boom, push it back down. Because it is a psychological barrier for the sheeple. Anyone who remembers the 80s, early 80s, right? Silver, or matter of fact, it was either 80 or 81. Silver, $50, gold, $850. If we're in whatever year, 2011, 2012, doesn't even matter. Nowadays, if we see those prices again, at least with silver, $50, that's psychological. So they had to crash it down to let you know, see, it's never going to go past 50. It hit it, dropped down immediately. Now it's $31. Come on, guys, get it. Don't waste your time with that metal. But people aren't buying it like they thought. And people are calling them out. People are exposing them. So as I've said, $30 silver, it's a fire sale. Even $40 silver is a fire sale. When you see ultimately where silver ends up, when all this crap is finally exposed, all these things, the position limits are in play, the CME group maybe gets their hands tied without being able to raise the margins, maybe someone files a lawsuit on them, calling them the market manipulator by doing what they did, and when they try to do it again, because you know they will, at the same time, as Andrew Maguire, the whistleblower, said, they're getting a worldwide exchange on the standby here shortly to unleash on the world. A real, true exchange of gold and silver. Not a paper hedged 10 to 1. No. Nope. True, physical, and gold. Plain and simple. And they plan on sucking the volume right out of the COMEX, which is the CME group, the JP Morgans, and let them manipulate the market. You guys can have it. You can set the fake price every day. We've got a real market over here, and it says the price is this. No one's paying attention to your fake paper price. That day will come. Mark my words. Unfortunately, I can't tell you how soon, because I don't know. I'm not one of the boys. I'm not God. I can't tell you the future, unfortunately. Because if I could, you know I would. So anyway, I just want to share that with you. April 18th, there's supposed to be some big hearing, meeting, open meeting about the swaps being defined. We'll see what happens.